What's up guys, and welcome back to Command Point. In today's video, Shane and I got the opportunity to sit down and chat with Matt H, the Atlantic City Open Kill Team Champion, to try to get our pulse on how top-level competitive Kill Team players are feeling about all the previews for the new edition. Before we get into that though, I want to thank you guys especially for helping us reach 3,000 subscribers. If you haven't subscribed already, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can keep up on all of the latest Kill Team content that we've been producing. So with that out of the way, let's get into the interview. Hey Matt, how's it going?
Good, how you guys doing?
You're probably like us. You've been seeing all the new Kill Team information that's been coming out recently. I guess to start off, is there anything that you're really like hyped about?
I'm really hyped about a lot of it. As you guys know, Kill Team's gotten kind of stale. And packets like yours, like Kill Team Stream, is what's kind of been keeping it alive and interesting. So getting a whole new game, and I mean it is like a whole new game,
Yeah.
is going to be exciting to kind of peel that apart and see what the community kind of takes out of it and what the new builds are and what the new kind of meta is going to look like and how the game plays. It's really exciting. I think it's just we're jumping literally. It's not even like, I think a lot of people were expecting like a Kill Team 1.5,
Yeah.
but that's not what we got. Like you could slap a completely different name on this game and people wouldn't know the difference. Like it is just a completely new game. And I think that's interesting and exciting, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So you had mentioned like our competitive packets that we've written. You've mentioned Kill Team Streams, Kill Team Championships packet. So I guess we can start off with like, what did you think of the preview for the match play missions and those rules?
That was interesting. I definitely want to know more. It looks like a lot of the objectives, they're kind of borrowing pages from Big 40K, which people seem to like. I haven't had a chance to play it, but it seems like you're going to have a lot more options to choose those secondary objectives than just kind of the three that's become standard with the game now. But yeah, like it'll be interesting to see kind of how everything plays out that way. That I mean, basically you only get in pretty much every format you pick three secondaries, or they're picked for you, or whatever.
Right.
And those are kind of what but it seems like that's not the issue. That's not the thing anymore. Like I have a feeling you're gonna have a lot more secondaries, kind of like a deck of them almost. And you're trying to score a lot of different things throughout the game.
Do you think that those secondaries are going to be broken down into like their own kind of like categories and you can only take like one from each category? Or do you think that like we could see like some like secondary objective stacking or something like that?
They didn't mention anything about I think if we were going to get categories, I think they would have mentioned it in the article, and they didn't at all. So I'm thinking that it's going to be kind of free for all, but I think it'll balance out. Just because some of them are just wacky and weird and stuff, like like the one where it's like, let's run off the board, and the other one is you gotta loot the guy that's next to you, kind of thing. Like,
yeah.
And if you look at them, they're maxing out at 2 VPs. So I think you're going to have a lot higher scoring games, just like kind of 40K is now, where you can have like 100-point game. I don't think we're going to be that high, but I think you're going to see higher than like kind of the 18-point ceiling, 21-point ceiling that we've been seeing for Kill Team First Edition.
So that's another thing. What do you think of the primary mission format kind of not necessarily being hold one, hold more, kill one, or like hold three or whatever? What do you think of it being like every single one of the match play missions is going to have its own primary objective? Like how do you think that's going to pan out for competitive players, I guess?
I like it. I mean, I like a little bit more uncertainty. I know I'm probably in the minority of the people in the competitive circuit, but I like a little bit more uncertainty, a little bit more, well, I don't know what's going to happen, so I need to kind of be ready for any kind of eventuality. But then again, it's just going to break down to like, 4, maybe 6 missions, whatever it's going to be. And then you can kind of customize and build your list around it. I think it'll be all right.
Shane, I guess same question for you.
Yeah, I would say that what I'm most excited about with all of it is, and this goes into the fact that they are abandoning the point system as well. All this seems to be standardizing things quite a bit, or at least going in that direction. As in, we no longer have, 100 points versus 125 points. What's the best format? It's now you have these fire teams. Each faction is built their own way. And as far as the missions go, if they're putting the effort in that they put into 40K, or at least, a modicum of that effort, then we could have our own format that everybody's playing, because it's just what GW gave to us. And that and the list building together is exciting to me, just the standardization.
So you talked about fire teams a little bit. What do you guys think of like the whole new system? Are you guys a fan of throwing away points, or do you think it can potentially lead to some issues?
I would say this is probably all the releases they've had, or the rules, this is probably the one that I want to say I'm concerned, but my eyebrow raises a little bit higher for this one. GW has tried with their other systems to do away with points, and it never works.
Yeah.
But I am kind of like what Shane was saying. I'm excited for this. I think it could work very well, because it will stop spam lists. You're not going to see drone spam in the new edition. You're not going to see, just spammy lists at all. You're not going to see the plasma spam or anything like that. And also, it is going to be quicker. It is going to really streamline things to the point where anyone can sit down and crank out a list in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Even I've made mistakes on team and list building because I, put a extra guy in there that shouldn't have been in there, or something like that. And I think that still happens because it is very complicated, it's very complex, whereas this is going to be just very straightforward, and you're going to be able to look at your opponent's team and be like, oh yeah, that's legal. Your team's good, or no, wait, you kind of messed this up. And we've been doing points in GW games for decades and decades now.
Yeah.
And so, I'm excited to see if they got it right this time, and if it'll work out. And if it doesn't, it'll be a problem for a little bit, but then they'll release the points, because that's what they've been doing with everything else. And if it works out, I think that's great too. And I'd be really excited to see if it did.
I was going to say that the same thing that Matt said. This is the only thing so far that I've shown a little concern towards, but obviously we need to wait and see. Getting rid of the obnoxious stuff and the spam lists is a good choice. It's a step in the right direction. I hope that it doesn't come at the expense of creative list building. From what I've seen, it could be, I don't know, it's weird. It's so different. The game is so different now that it's hard to gauge it, because even still I'm looking at it sort of inadvertently from the lens of the game we've been so used to. And
Right.
It's not that game. It is a totally different game. So on one hand, it looks less, I guess it looks more streamlined, almost to a fault, but I'm comparing it to a different game at the end of the day. So I need to play this game. I need to see what they're actually offering us in terms of list building. And until then, I just reserve judgments, I guess.
What do you guys think of the way that they've previewed the way that you activate models now? Because to me, it seems like there's not going to be phases anymore. It's just going to be, I choose a model, perform whatever actions I want to perform with it. Then you're going to choose a model, and it just swaps back and forth until the turning point is completed. What do you guys think of that system?
I love it. I've played Necromunda a lot, which uses the same kind of activation system. And I've hated for the longest time the movement phase in first edition, because I think it really made who won that role, especially the first turn. No one ever wanted to go first,
Right.
because it was a very big detriment, and now it's not. and then them adding the group activations in as another way of balancing out hordes, because that's always been the problem with you go I go activations, is people were afraid, you know, hordes would activate all their crummy guys first and then do their important guys last. But with group activation, it doesn't look like that's going to happen. It looks like if you have a lot of crummy guys, you're going to have to activate, you know, at least 2 of them at a time to every one Space Marine that goes. And then on top of that, having different action point limits for the different models will even balance it out even further, where it's like, you know, yeah, Guardsman's got 2, but a Custodian's got 4 activations. And so now they're doing more in that turn where they're, you know, attacking, charging, moving, shooting all in the same turn, where other teams can't do that. And like I said, I like the I move a guy, you move a guy, because then you're really thinking about it. You know, it's not, you know, I just throw my guys out and whatever happens, happens. You know, it's, well, I got to move this guy here, and he's the first guy that's going in this turn or whatever they're calling it. And now I have to worry about that. Everyone else is going to go before this guy. Is he protected? Did I leave him out in a lurch kind of thing? So I think it'll be a lot more interesting and a lot more strategic.
I know we like none of it. We don't have the rules. We haven't had any time playing the game, obviously. Is there any data sheets that really stick out to you that you're like, okay, this model is kind of crazy?
Custodies?
Yeah, right.
Is it too early to say that?
Yeah.
Custodians look like they're going to be crazy. I'm hoping we don't see 3 custodian lists anymore, because they are scary.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's just in reference to what the other data sheets look like, but those things look insane.
So apparently with Custodies, you can only take like 2 custodian guards per fire team. And we don't know how many fire teams a Talons of the Emperor is going to get, but judging from just like the preview images, I think you'll be able to get 2. Either another Custodes fire team or a Sisters of Silence fire team, but I don't know. What would a 4 Custodes kill team be cause for concern for most teams, do you think?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think we can say that already.
Yeah. I mean, and see, that's the great thing about how they can balance these lists, right? So they can say, you know, you can have, you know, 1 fire team is 1 Custodes, and you can have your leader be the Custodes. Or they can say 2 guys in a fire team, but you can only have 1 Custodes fire team, where you can run, you know, 2 fire teams of Sisters of Silence, or you can run 1 and 1. Or maybe it's just going to be 1 fire team, and it's like you can have, you know, 1 or 2 Custodes and then 4 or 5 Sisters of Silence. So with the way they're doing the fire team building, it really allows them to tweak and balance things a lot, which I think is good. I think it's funny is the Harlequins got their ankles broken.
Yeah, I saw that.
6 inches.
I was going to say too, and another thing we don't know yet is what types of fire teams there are.
Right.
Like I believe the example we saw, what was it, like a security fire team?
Yeah, it was a security fire team for Astra Militarum, and security was the like archetype. So there might be, I mean, there's probably going to be more archetypes, right? Otherwise, it would just be like, this is the fire team for Imperial Guard. This is what you get. So there's probably going to be more, right?
Hopefully, yeah. I would think so.
I think personally, I think the sky's the limit. I think they're going to release box sets similar to what we're seeing in the starter pack, where it's like a sub faction. Like a pre-made sub-faction that's a specialist, quote-unquote, kill team. So I could definitely see that. I could see when we get, I mean, there are going to be expansion books. Like, GW's going to want to make more money. And so, you know, when we get our Elites expansion book, there's probably going to be all new fire teams in there to accommodate those Elite models. I think it's, at least in my mind, it's pretty confirmed that the models on the site are all we're going to have rules for it to release. And then I think we're going to get an Elites book, but like I was saying, none of those Elites units are in the current fire, will be in the current fire teams. So they are going to have to release all new fire team rules for all the factions to get their Elites.
Well, there are some weird things too, because now that we know that data sheets aren't the way that they are in normal old kill team, I guess. For instance, like in the 2018 kill team, the Rubric Marine data sheet had the Aspiring Sorcerer on it. I don't really know if it's like that anymore. Like a rubric marine is a rubric marine, and like they don't even have an aspiring sorcerer on the website, and like or the orcs don't even have a knob on the other than the commando kill team. They don't even have a knob on the website. So there's definitely some weirdness. I feel like there are at least a couple things that need to be added to that website or to what we should expect.
Right.
But for the most part, yeah, it's looking more and more like a lot of these models are going to come in an elite style expansion.
And that's the thing too. Like when I first saw it, the website, I was kind of disappointed because it's like, well, the Marines just have so many units compared to the other factions. But if you think about it, depending on how they do the data sheets, like Games Workshop basically said for like the Harlequins release, that's just one of their data sheets. They're going to have a shooting type data sheet, and whoever else they might have. So even though Harlequins only have one unit, they're going to have more than that in data sheets. Yeah. So I think you might see that too for all the other factions. And the Marines, you might just see, well, maybe there's just one data sheet for Reavers and one data sheet for, intercessors or something. And so so those guys are going to be kind of locked into, this is the role GW wants this model to have, and so that's it. Whereas I think maybe some of the other factions are going to have more flexibility.
So one of the biggest changes, I guess, that's coming in this new edition is the way that just combat overall, close combat shooting has completely changed. Matt, what do you think of all this?
I think it's probably going to be good. One of the problems I think we had was with kind of like the Hammer of Wrath. The way it worked in the current kill team is that, like, you could have this awesome fighter. I could have my Lich Guard with his war scythe sitting there, and you charged him with your guy's lightning claws and you cut him to bits before you could even swing. Does that, from a thematic and even a game balance standpoint, does that make a lot of sense? Whereas now, you don't want to charge. It's going to be a lot harder to tar pit guys because, again, in the past, all right, if I have my Lich Guard there, well, you might throw a crummy unit at him to tie him up. Well, if you do that, my Lich Guard might kill the guy, and then I still get all my activations because I just demolished your guy, and now I can go on and do something else.
Right.
So you're really going to want to think about those fights and who you're stacking up against who. And I think the really good fighters are going to be really good fighters, and you're not going to throw some crummy guy at this monster fighter guy because he's just going to get mopped up and kicked to the curb.
Shane, I want to talk to you about the loss of a dearly departed friend, the Grot leader. I know you're very upset about this, but do you think that overall it's better for the health of the game that, like, basically insignificant models, an Astra Militarum, special weapons guardsman, or a Grot can no longer be like a leader, it looks like?
I think it's great for the game, and I am deeply upset by it.
All right.
My Chaos guys lose my Cultist leader.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Every team is suffering now.
Us Orc players have been spending 2 years validating and justifying in their own made-up brain lore why they have a Grot leader, and you can just throw it all in the trash now.
So I guess we talked about melee combat. What do you think about just most weapons having infinite range now?
I think they'll be good. I think it'll speed up the game a lot. What is it, 22 by 30 inch board? Most weapons had infinite range, and so I think it'll definitely just be like, oh, I can see you, I can shoot you. I don't even have to measure it or do any other kind of shenanigans. Just, I can see you, I'm going to start rolling dice now. Obviously, also there's going to be no long and short range. So that's also going to kind of speed stuff up too, I think.
Shane, do you have anything that you are itching to discuss?
Just as a general topic, not related to any of the articles, I wanted to ask Matt this because this is something that crossed my mind the other day when I was reading one of the articles. And I was kind of like self-reflecting on how different the game is and how it is basically, like I said, a different game. As a fellow competitive player, has this thought crossed your mind? The possibility, because this crossed my mind. I was reading and I was looking at these articles and I thought, what if I suck at this new game?
No, yeah, I mean it's possible. I'm pretty good at Necromunda, which has the alternating activation, so that gives me some hope. And combat's kind of work in a similar fashion, not exactly the same way. So yeah, I mean it's possible. I don't think so. I think
Probably not, but yeah, because I was
yeah,
like, at this point, it's been like a few years, and I can admit, like, I definitely have an aptitude for this game, whatever you want to call it. And, there's always that concern that, the game is so different. It's basically a different game. It's like, what if I just don't got it? Like, what if I'm playing this game and it just it never clicks? And that crossed my mind. And I wanted to talk to some people about it, and I haven't gotten the chance to. But I'm sure a lot of the skills are going to translate fine. But it is a funny thought.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sure there are definitely going to be like new players that were not like players that have come out of the woodwork, right?
Right.
That just like click with this game more than they did the old one,
Mhm.
which is an exciting thing.
Yeah, that's always exciting. So I guess final question, is there anything that gives you like any pause with this new edition of Kill Team, Matt?
Yeah, just the points going away is the only thing I think that really gives me pause about it. Going back to core is kind of a bummer, but I don't think it's the end of the world either. I think it'll be nice to kind of rebuild the game back up from the ground. But yeah, I'd say the points thing is the only thing I'm kind of like, is this going to work out this time, GW? Or is it not going to work out like before? I don't know.
Yeah, we've seen him try to do like the points, or not the points level, but the power level thing in Age of Sigmar, and that failed spectacularly. They wound up going back to points costed units fairly quickly. But I think with this system, with like you have to build like a fire team, instead of just like I choose this model and it's X value or whatever. I think that kind of structure is gonna make balancing it a lot easier, but I don't know. I think we'll just have to wait and see. Shane, do you have anything else that you'd like to talk about?
No, I mean, I think we pretty much hit everything. I just hope we don't have to wait too long for a lot of these models to come back into the game if they're not there day one, which they probably won't be. I mean, for me, I eagerly await the Knob Fire Team.
Yeah,
that is certainly coming one day. Until then, I'll just go back to playing my demons because at least I have them day one.
Yeah, it's very true.
Really, really excited about that.
I'm so sad my Corn Berserkers are gone.
For now.
They need to come back quick. They need to come back quick.
That's me and my knobs, man. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, all right, guys. Thanks for taking the time to come on and talk about the new edition of Kill Team.
Thank you.